Hey, welcome back guys. You're listening to episode 3 of the Animals Everywhere podcast. Just a quick reminder, go check out animalsathomenetwork.com, click on the Animals Everywhere podcast header, and that will direct you to my podcast page. And from there, you can choose any episode you like to listen to, as well as get all the links involved in that episode. If you scroll down to the bottom of the page, there is a donate button. And if you feel to donate, that will support this podcast, and I really appreciate it. Otherwise, let's get onto this episode. In this episode, I have an amazing chat with my good friend Eckhard Vd Westhuizen. We chat about feeding animals a proper diet and the importance of asking for advice and continuing to improve our husbandry skills. Is UVB important? Well, we go into detail on how important we actually think it is for every animal that we keep. Eckhard said something that really stuck with me. People with influence need to use it to improve care. I think it is the utmost important thing to continue to better our care for the animals we keep. No matter how small the step, we just got to take it and start improving. So, do you want to know how to feed picky arboreal vipers? Well, that's kind of Eckhard's speciality. He's really good at feeding insanely difficult arboreal vipers and getting them on food with not too much effort involved. Well, I lie. A lot of patience is involved in this, but he shares some amazing tips and tricks that you can do to try and get your arboreal vipers, or any snake for that matter, on feed. You just got to take away some of these tips and apply it to the snakes and the species you keep. We are live. Well, we're not live, but...
Oh, well, what's up, man?
Sweet, so you're ready to get into this episode?
Yeah, let's just jump right into it.
Let's jump in. You're listening to Animals Everywhere, a podcast that aims to inspire each and every one of you to make an impact and be the change, learn more about our natural world, explore the lives of those wild and wonderful. My name is Bryce Broom, and I'm best known for my infatuation with wildlife and to live a wild life. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good. It's good to be here. We've been talking about doing this for a while, so I'm glad we actually are.
I'm so stoked. It's taken a while to get here.
Yeah.
Because you were initially going to be the first guest.
I was going to be, but I was on the other side of the world, and then not the world, but the other side of South Africa, and COVID hit, and that was just rubbish.
And life happened.
That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Oh well, but it's fine. I'm here now, so it's
exactly. Good. You don't have too long to stay here, but we can make it.
And you've got some alien tech here and everything, so it's a very interesting look about everything. Very unfamiliar with all this. I thought we were just gonna talk into our earphones.
No. We're gonna get a bit better sound quality than that. Come on.
We're gonna get a lot better.
Yeah, a lot better. And it's gonna be on camera, recorded on YouTube. So if you guys want to check that out.
Oh, my camera. Okay. Hi guys.
Animals Everywhere on YouTube. Okay, so let's jump straight into it. How did your fascination with reptiles start?
With reptiles, okay. Well, I've always had a fascination in animals in general, but like we spoke about earlier today, it's never just been reptiles. It's been animals. Reptiles were just what was acceptable. I mean, you can't be 16 years old with a lion in South Africa and think everything. That's right. The rest of the world, we don't ride lions. We'd love to, but we don't. So you can't be 16 years old and then have a lion in your house, but you can have a corn snake. And that's where it started, right? So I just got my first snake, a standalone milk snake. I'll never forget it. And I had it for a week. And then it got lost. It got out of its enclosure. The enclosure they gave me had like a centimeter gap for the glass panels.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it was like a hatchling standalone. So it escaped within a week, which was horrible.
Well, that's surprising that it took that long to escape.
But it was cold, so I didn't have a heat mat. So it probably just settled under its hide because it was cold. And then when I got one, the next day he got out. So it might have just been too cold to decide to cruise around.
Did you ever find it?
Yeah, we did actually. 2 months later.
2 months?
Yeah, our cleaning lady, she lifted up washing, and then she was like, "Oh, a snake!" And I was like, "Okay, well, we found a snake."
Well, that's awesome.
But yeah, that's basically where it started. It started with a little standalone milk snake, and then I just grew into it, man. Started watching YouTube, a lot of Brian Barczyk stuff, and I just started out when it was still Snake Bites TV, not
his vlog channel.
Not his vlog channel. And it just escalated. And then I watched a lot of Steve Owen stuff as well on DSTV.
And so then what species are you currently keeping?
What I'm currently keeping, it's mostly vipers. So I've got Schlegelis. Should we Latin names, common names?
Let's do both. So
all right. So I've got Bothritis schlegeli, which is the eyelash vipers, Prothobothrus cornutus, fancy horn vipers. I've got some Najas.
I didn't even know the English name for that one.
Yeah, it's a fancy.
Know it as
I think it's
Protobothrops.
people refer to them as
cornutus.
the fancy horn viper, or not just the Vietnamese horn viper.
Scientific names are just the way to go because
it's the best.
it's so confusing. Like you talk about Nasicornis, and that could be a butterfly viper, a rhino viper, like
a riverjack. No, yeah, they are riverjacks as well. Yeah,
riverjack.
Exactly. It's just too much confusion. I mean, poor Jay. He stepped in that trap. He was busy showcasing one of his Gaboons, and then he was talking about a Gabonica, and then he said, "Yeah, they're also known as a riverjack." And I was like, that's why you don't use common names.
Exactly. Yeah, and what I find now is now that the Gaboons have been split up into 2 species, not subspecies, everybody thinks that they're all Bitis gabonica, whereas they aren't.
Yeah, it's the rhinoceros and Gabonica.
Exactly. So the West Africans are Bitis rhinoceros and East are the Bitis gabonica, and that's actually found in South Africa. A dream species for me to find.
The Gabonica is the one from... No, rhinoceros is the one from Derbs, right?
No, that's Gabonica.
Oh, okay.
Not Durban though.
I'm not a
Bitis
guy. I'm not a Bitis guy.
You're a viper guy. Or an arboreal
viper, I have to say.
So,
and then I've got a few odds.
Atheris?
Like some pythons. Yeah, I've got my Atheris boy, but he's not odd. He's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And then I've got my white lips. I do like them. A few Vogels. The purple mangroves. What else do I have?
You said Gumpret.
I do.
You didn't say that.
Didn't I say Gumprechts?
No.
Yes, I've got Gumprechts as well.
Trimeresurus Gumpreti.
Yeah, Trimeresurus Gumprecht. Isn't it Gumprechtai?
I don't know.
You have to
like
sound
the pronunciation of things is like incredibly.
Oh, dude, listen. There's a guy on YouTube. His channel is the Dog Den. Dude, that guy is ridiculous with Latin names. It's all about spiders.
Yeah.
But his Latin name pronunciation is just like a what's it called? One of those baboon spiders. Not the baboon spiders, the curliers.
Yeah.
They're almost...
Brachypalma albipilosa.
No. We say... I hope it's not a curlier now. Anyway, so it's Theraposa stirmi.
Okay.
Everyone always says Theraposa stirmi.
Yes.
And he's just like Theraposa stirmi. And it sounds like exactly like it's supposed to. And even that Brachypelma, he says Brachypelma.
Yeah.
His pronunciation of spider words is ridiculously good.
Well, like even when it goes to snakes, even in South Africa, there's a bunch of people who say things differently. Like the guys in Durban will say Bitis gabonica, and we say Bitis.
Yeah, or I just say not the snake I want. But yeah, I agree because I had the same discussion with someone the other day where people call cobras Naya, and we're just like Naja.
Yeah, I think I do a bit of both. Sometimes I
whatever suits the company.
Naja, I go Naja, Naya. Yeah, I think in the UK I've heard a lot of like Naya Kauthia.
Yeah,
the monicles.
They all go Naya, and we're Naja.
Yeah, Naja annulifera. Yeah, I think I say it differently for different.
Depends
species.
On the crowd. Like I'm saying, okay, well maybe that's also relevant.
But and no, I'm saying even like the African ones I say Naja, and then the like Asian ones I say Naya.
Naya. It might be that. Yeah.
But they're all supposed to be pronounced the same way.
They actually are supposed to be pronounced the same way. But in essence, I don't think anyone's going to argue with you if you say it's Naja or Naya.
Yes, I think.
Unless they can get us a Latin word pronunciator or a Latin accent pronunciator, and he can at least say everything once for us, and then we can all refer to that, and then the arguments can start.
Yeah, but that's the nice thing with Latin. Latin is an unchanging language. Like English, we say cool. 100 years ago or whatever, cool didn't mean like, oh, that's dope. Like even saying dope is
a new thing as well. Yeah,
exactly. There was a new word the other day. I think they added into the Merriam-Webster dictionary. What was it? I can't remember now, but it was like some random word that is made up. It's kind of like texting language, and they're starting to add.
So they're making acronyms probably.
Yeah, but it wasn't exactly an acronym, but it's becoming an actual word. I'm not sure what it was.
That sounds super weird. But they do that every year. Every year they add a new word.
It's an evolving language.
Yeah, that comes with slang and stuff like that. But with Latin names, like I said, that at least doesn't happen. They just get reclassified like crazy now.
All the time, yes.
Yes. Especially lately. I think there's been some more serious studying put into species. Because how many times did, what you call it? I can't remember the species name now.
Forest cobras or?
No, it's a species in the Amazons. It's also a viper species.
Bothrops?
It's in the Bothrops. I think it's in the Bothrops genus. It's also an arboreal viper, but it's not in the
Bilineatus.
Bilineatus.
Yes.
Bilineatus, that's the one.
It was known as, I think it was Protobothrops. No.
Yes, it was Protobothrops something, and now it's
Bothrops bilineatus.
Bothrops bilineatus. That's the one.
Wasn't it Bothriechus? No, Bothriopsis bilineatus. Now it's Bothrops bilineatus.
All I know is that individual species has been reclassified like almost 9 times.
That's crazy.
That's crazy, man. That's ridiculous. Did you see that thing? I shared it on my Facebook. They discovered a new snake now in June. In June, dude. 2020 June.
Yes, yeah, I saw that.
That's ridiculous,
An
man.
undescribed species. It was in Thailand, wasn't it?
It was in Thailand, yeah. They speculate it's in I think it's the hibiscus or something like that genus.
Okay.
That's what we got. That's the only info we have. We don't even know where they found it exactly. We just know it was in Thailand, and they think it's part of the hibiscus, and that no one could identify it.
Wow. And not just like a different color mutation or locality.
No, it's a complete new species. That's what's being said. I can't find papers on it or anything. I just saw the original post with the species, and I showed you these pictures, and even you said, "What is this?"
Yes.
So that's ridiculous. And then Salazarus, that was discovered in January, or actually it was classified in January.
Yeah.
So that's just as ridiculous, man.
Yeah, there's so many new things being found, and it shows you how much there is still to learn about all of these animals. So, what is your favorite reptile to work?
My favorite reptile.
And why?
That I keep or that I would love to keep?
No, that like your favorite reptile to work with.
It would be Tinkerbell.
Tinkerbell.
Yeah, I love
And explain who Tinkerbell is.
So Tinkerbell, she's my spectacled caiman. I bought her about a year and 5 months back. She was a part of an import that came from, I'm actually not sure, I think it was somewhere in Brazil, but the import came in. And she was part of the holdbacks, so they weren't going to sell her initially. But then when I called and I told them, listen, I'm serious about this. I'm not gonna waste time. I actually want the caiman. I have the money now.
Yes.
If you tell me I can come tomorrow, I'm shooting straight through, and then I'm buying it tomorrow. And then that's how it happened. So the reason why Tinkerbell is such a special animal to me is it took me 6 months of hiding so that I can see her eat in front of me.
Oh, wow.
That's how bad it was, man. So I had to chop her food up, and then I had to leave. I had to completely darken out my room. So I'd put her food in. I'd even put her basking light off so there's no light in her enclosure. Then I'd put off all my other lights and shut the room, and then hope that she would have eaten. And the next morning, she always ate. But the problem was I could never see it. So I'm not sure if she's eating or wasting.
Yes.
Because there was a bunch of fish in her tank as well. And I noticed that if you drop meat, and then they chow the meat as well. And so I eventually got to see her start eating. And then I decided, since she's eating in front of me, I'm going to start training her to eat off the tongs. Because once you get them on the tongs, you can start actually teaching them some commands and stuff, which is really cool. You can teach them to station or whatever. And then I think 9 months in, after 9 months of keeping her, she ate off the tongs for the first time.
Oh, that feeling must be so epic.
Dude, I was like a proud father, man. I'm still a proud father, man. It was the best thing that could have happened to me. And now she's awesome. I mean, now even you can come feed Tinkerbell. If you just sound her in, she'll come straight to you, and then you can even feed Tinkerbell now. So she's just a very special animal to me. We started swimming with her. So where we stay, we've got a big outdoor pond. Well, it's not really big. It's just big enough that I can get my fat ass in with her. So then we put her in the water, and then I jump in with her. So hopefully when she gets to a massive size, I'll be able to swim with her, which would be,
that'll be incredible.
That'll be what I need, man. That'll be what I need. If I can get that done, then I'm gonna be happy, guaranteed.
And tell us about like what she's actually gonna be doing for her species and in the regards to,
Oh, what do you mean? I'm not sure. Oh, for the conservational efforts that we're going to do.
the park, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we
Yeah.
can definitely talk about that. That's a good thing to talk about.
So what I'm trying to say is, like, she's not just a pet to...
No, Tinkerbell's not just a pet. She's more than that. She's going to be one of the big conservationists at our facility. We're going to actually allow people to hold her without taping her. So that's the idea. If she doesn't tame down to the extent that anybody can hold her without having to tape her mouth, this won't happen because I refuse to tape her mouth.
Yes.
I mean, I've spent 1 year and 5 months to get her the way she is now. I'm not going to tape her mouth.
Yes.
So we're going to allow people to feed her as well because she's obviously still very small. I mean, Tinkerbell, how long would you say this is about? She's not even a meter.
Yeah.
Tinkerbell, I think the last time I measured her, she was 65 centimeters, which is a good size for a 1.5-year-old caiman.
Yeah.
So people will be able to feed her as well. Obviously, we'll have a door there. I'll be there to supervise it, and then they can feed her through the enclosures, which I think would be great. It's an epic feeding experience. So she's going to be a big conservationist at our place, man.
That's going to be great. So is she going to have like a nice outdoor pond then? Or
No, for the start. So at our reptile park, we've got it's like an octagon shape. So you're going to come in, and then Tinkerbell's cage is going to be the divider in the middle of the park, which forces you to walk into a channel. So you're going to walk into an octagon shape. And for the people that can't see my hands, go check the YouTube video and you understand. But yeah, so you're going to walk in, and then her enclosure is going to sit in the whole middle of that reptile park, which is pretty big because I think it's going to be almost... Her enclosure is going to be almost about 4 meter by 5 meter.
Wow. And that's big, especially
For a
for
60
the size.
centimeter caiman, that's massive, man.
Yes.
That's massive. She's going to get lost in there. And obviously, it's me that's designing that cage. So it's not going to be just a simple pond and everything. She's going to have a waterfall in there. I already found a few nice pieces of logs. I already got my bromeliads ready for it. So
Ooh.
yeah, you know what you exactly know what I'm going to do with that enclosure.
You and your planting schemes with all your setups is absolutely incredible.
I'm going to viv her enclosure up, man. And then when she outgrows that, we're going to already have another enclosure ready for her. And then we'll decide if we go ahead and get other crocodilians for the middle section, or we'll just see what happens. But so far, that middle section is destined for her, and that's good enough for me.
That's going to be so nice.
Yeah, it's going to be epic, man. It's just going to be cool because, when she gets bigger as well, when she's in that larger outer water space, she's going to be so tame. That's what's going to make it awesome because she's constantly going to be worked with.
Yeah.
So that's going to be really, really great. And then we can... I just want to swim with it. I just want to swim with Tinkerbell, man. That's going to be great.
That would be awesome. So what are some of the pet peeves about how certain people keep their animals that like really get to you? I know, deep question.
Yeah, it's a sensitive question as well because a lot of the things that would annoy me...
yeah, so what I'm trying to say is...
You know what I would is... I think what the things that annoy me is when people feed the wrong stuff. That grinds my gears. Now you got me on the subject. Like, for example, I don't like diets for king cobras. I don't agree with it at all.
Rodent.
Putting your king cobras in a rodent diet. Yeah, there's a lot of guys that have done it. And sure, if it works for them, I'm great. I'm happy with it. But for me, that's a peeve. I think when you have a king cobra, you have to feed it snakes. That's just the right diet. Snakes, geckos, lizards. That's what it should be, not rodents.
Yes. Well, every now and then they can have a rodent.
If they want to take it freely, yeah. I'll offer it. If they take it, good. I'm not going to spend the effort in trying to convert them onto rodents.
Yes.
For me, that's a massive peeve. I hate that.
Well, that's just the thing of like, we must see what they have in the wild and try and replicate it.
Yeah, which is what it should be in general. I mean, how can you keep an animal and not try to replicate? How are we supposed to... How else do you know how they eat, what they eat, unless you don't replicate where they come from?
Exactly. So you got to study the animals that you keep a lot more than just, watching a basic care guide video on YouTube.
Yeah, research is key, man. Yes, this we know from multiple species that we've kept. I mean, if I look at my Arthurus, for example, a lot of the stuff that I've found out about keeping Arthurus... I didn't find on a care sheet. I had to go ask people. I had to go to books. The book references were the worst because in all the books that were dated other than the latest one I got from Marco Shear. But all the other ones, the only thing you find is that they're venomous. And that's about it.
Yeah.
That's about it. Nothing about the geographic range, nothing about the areas. So that for me was a bummer. But at least, for example, Marcel, I spoke to him a lot about Arthurus. And if it wasn't for him that told me you can't miss them directly,
Yes.
I probably would have lost my Arthurus.
Yeah, because people don't realize, like the care guides say, they found in a tropical region, so they need to be wet. No.
It's not that,
And wet and hot. No, that's not really what you need with...
Yeah, well, I keep my squam at about 26 hotspot. Yeah. When I missed half the enclosure. I didn't even miss him directly.
Yeah.
And I have no issues with him. No issues at all. Am I moving too far away from this mic?
Yeah,
because I see you always pointing me like this.
You're kind of drifting away.
Yeah, I'm struggling with this thing. Maybe I should
move this thing up a bit and like...
Maybe I should just sit still. How's that now?
Yeah, just sit still.
I'm running out of breath because it feels to me like I'm breathing on the mic. That's the problem.
All right, so then try not to breathe on the mic. Just talk normally and the mic will pick it up.
All right, okay, but just so that should be good then.
Don't move in and out of the microphone range just like that.
All right, so I should be good then.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, perfect.
So what steps can one take to better the animal care then?
Research is key. And you know what I find works the best when you want to improve your care for animals? Ask other keepers. Everyone thinks they have to do this alone, and that's what I hate. That's what I hate about the reptile hobby. Everyone thinks they have to do everything alone. I can't ask someone for advice because then I'm going to be shunned. That's the problem. So ask as many people as you can. I'll ask you, I'll ask Marcel, and then I'll ask you to ask whoever you can ask.
Yes.
And then I'll go ahead and I'll ask Sean, my other buddy, or I'll ask Julian, and I'll just be like, yo, what are your guys' experiences with it? How did you approach it? What did you do in the enclosures? How'd you go about it? And that's what I do. Because then you sit with about 10 different ways of doing it. And then out of those 10 different opinions, you can take for yourselves the things that you think work, and you can test it.
Yes, because not everything works that other people do. Like, yes, it may work for them and how they care for their animals, but depending on where you are, like the climate you're in, it can be totally different to where they are and how they have to care for their animals.
100%, because here where you guys are now, it's freezing cold, man.
Yeah.
I just took my jacket off when we came into the room, but it's cold here. There where I am, I still walk around in shorts.
Yes.
So that's a massive climate change. I mean, I couldn't even get my snakes down to 20. To Ivan, I couldn't even get down to 20, man. And that's ridiculous to think. In winter, you can't get down to 20.
Yes. Whereas here we're getting to like -2 degrees. Yeah, the water outside's freezing.
Here you almost need to connect another heat pad just to stay at 20.
Yes, exactly. That's why having a room that is kitted out for that is so important.
But yeah, that's one of the things I think that can, to improve your keeping, is always ask. I mean, get as much information as you can. And never get comfortable, right? So I've probably changed up setups how many times? I mean, you saw my first version of my snake room, and now it's changed again.
Yes.
And I'm already thinking about how I can change it again for the simple sake of improving it. So I think that comfort is also another thing that shouldn't set in. Find something that works, and then continue working on improving it.
Yes.
If it makes sense what I'm saying.
Yeah, so upping the standard of how you keep your animals in captivity, not just... okay, I've got them in this little viv with a hide, a water bowl, and newspaper. I'm not going to advance from there.
Yeah, always try to advance. That's definitely what I'm saying. I'm not saying give all your animals freaking live vivariums or live habitats. I mean, it's not really possible for everything unless you've got a 5 meter by 5 meter enclosure for your retic outside.
Yes.
Then you can start thinking about doing it a viv. But like I'm saying, there has to be constant change. So you have to constantly work on improving their habitats. I think that's what I'd say is how to improve your keeping.
Yeah, I think that's very important. I agree with it. Like, just not becoming comfortable, as you said. Researching, finding out how other people care for their animals. That's why, like, as you said, learning from other keepers is such a big thing, because there's so much experience out there that is not in like any book knowledge whatsoever, because these guys are constantly working with these animals and they know what works and what doesn't work. And then you got to hear from each individual what works for them and what doesn't work for them.
And then compile that into your own version of a Keshi. That's exactly what I'm saying. And like, for example, it's always changing. People's way of doing things is always changing. I mean, only recently, everybody's starting introducing UVB to their enclosures.
Yes.
Which for snakes was, I mean, come on. I mean, for years, racks have been the go-to with a lot of species.
Yeah.
Now UVB is becoming the new thing. So, like I'm saying, that's the thing. Everything's always evolving and improving, and that's how you should be with your animals as well. You have to continuously evolve their setups and habitat, their care, and etc. etc. I'm probably babbling now, but I'm pretty sure you understand what I'm saying.
Yes, I do. So, like with the UVB, so many people think, okay, snakes don't need it, so we won't provide it. But they get it in the wild. We've seen the proof. We've seen the studies of how important UVB can actually be to them.
There's been multiple autopsies of snakes that have never been introduced to any form of sunlight or UVB. They had lighting, but not UVB. And you should see how weird their bone structure is when they were dead. So when they did the autopsy, you should see how weird their bone structure was, how deformed, how weak, especially how brittle their ribs were. Because there's a calcium deficiency.
That may be a big thing if we think about it now. You know, with like the large vipers, your Blitzes and that, guys are so scared of breaking their ribs and stuff. So we got these fancy double hooks and all that type of thing. But maybe if we start like providing UVB, providing the proper care for these animals, that won't even happen. Because I've seen stuff of like Gaboons and rhino vipers, which are your fat-bodied snakes that people think are just slugs and sit in the corner all day. I've seen them, like, pictures of them 3 meters up a tree. They climb, and they're on thin branches too.
Exactly.
And
so how can the ribs
them.
hold them there, but we're scared of a hook? That's what I'm saying. And we're even tailing, man. I mean, when you're tailing, you're already carrying almost 50% of the weight. Then your hook comes in. So those ribs aren't supposed to actually break. That's what's weird.
Yes.
That's why I'm thinking that UVB could be
the next big thing that we need to strive
towards
things.
keeping. Yeah, and it's going to be costly. And you know what? I think it's a good thing that it's costly, because that's going to stop impulsive collecting.
Yeah.
Get what I'm saying? So if this is in fact the new way to improve care, if UVB is going to be the next thing for snakes, it's going to force people to rethink. Maybe not now. Maybe in 2-3 years. You know, if you want to buy a snake, you're going to think to yourself,
I got to get UVB too.
Every 6 months, I'm going to have to replace that UVB. And then you might actually deter against it. And then you're going to have better keeping standards. Because now you're going to have 4 snakes that you look after instead of having 40 snakes to look after, because you can only afford to replace so many UVB lights every 6 months. So I don't know. Maybe that's going to be a thing.
I think we should also, as keepers, push for that to become a thing. And when we get new people into the hobby that ask, how do you set up an enclosure for a ball python? I'm really wanting to get into getting a ball python or a corn snake. We shouldn't recommend how so many people have been recommending, it's cheap. You just buy the snake, you get a tub or a water bowl, that type of thing, and put it in the enclosure. Just top up your water with mine.
I'm going to top it up.
There you go. I've got some nice
itchy throat and I don't want to cough in everyone's ears.
There you go. Don't worry about messing. We can also pause this halfway and go fetch if we need to.
All right.
Yeah.
Your water tastes weird.
Mine's ozonated water, as well as I said it had lemon in it.
Oh, there's lemon in it. That's what the funky smell. That's what the funky taste was. I was about to say, what happened? I thought you backquestioned something. I was like, oh, no.
No.
Because I even seen how the color's different. So I was like, oh, no.
Don't worry, it's not backwash.
But yeah, I agree with you. People with influence, and now I'm not saying I have influence, but I think that people with influence should use that influence on improving things. So that might be a good thing to push for. I might not even know if I'll be able to afford. Now I'm looking at, if you think about it, man, it's costly to move.
Yes, I know. I've been working it out because I'm also working on new enclosures and that for the new facility. And yeah, it's going to cost a lot. It's going to cost a couple $1,000 every month just to have UVB. So I'm also thinking of how can we incorporate outdoor enclosures for summer, because nothing replaces sunlight.
I've got a good idea about outdoor enclosures, man. So you don't necessarily have to have an out and in enclosure.
Yeah.
Now hear me out, right?
Yeah, I'm listening.
So this is what I wanted to do with Tinkerbell initially before I joined this facility I'm working at. So I wanted to originally build a mesh enclosure outside with a dug-in pond.
Okay.
And then that clear plastic that they use to cover Stupa. What do you call that in English?
Yeah, like I also forgot it in English now. Basically, that clear IBR sheeting.
Exactly. So then you have that there. So come nighttime, you enclose the sides.
Okay.
And then you enclose the top. Then you still have heat in the top. So you have heat in the top that just is around that plastic. There's no way that the heat will escape for night times or winter times doing it like that.
Well, it depends on the species. If they can handle a little bit of a cooler temperature, they'll be fine. And depending on where you are, like where you are currently,
Dude,
you can keep anything
I can
outside.
keep whatever I
with the
want
heat.
outside. I can probably keep everything that needs to stay. Oh wait, no, actually, I won't be able to keep everything outside.
No, because some stuff might get too hot.
Yeah, that's one thing. I might have to figure out a way to keep stuff cool.
Yeah, but that's another thing. You could build like a shade cloth greenhouse and have misting systems in there, and that'll also help cool it down.
That's a perfect idea.
Just like, I don't know if you've seen, I think it's in Arizona, they've built this totally enclosed ecosystem that they were studying to see if humans could take this and incorporate it on like a different planet. So they made like a simulation of the ocean with a big pressure changing system, as well as in the middle of the desert. Okay. And in there, this whole glass enclosed thing, they built a rainforest, and the rainforest
Thrived.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
exactly.
it would. I mean,
because you're making your own ecosystem, and then as the pressure from the heat rises, there's like they create this big like balloon basically that lifts and lowers. Yeah, it's an incredible system. It didn't work out totally. You okay?
Yeah, I just had like a moment of heartburn.
Oh, sorry.
But yeah, I'm good. That's an awesome thing. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so if we could incorporate like something like that, outdoor greenhouses for our animals, that would be pretty insane.
Yeah, that would be great. But if you, cost effectively, I don't think that's a very
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like the striving towards becoming better keeping, your reptile room might not be as we think it. So don't think of a reptile room that's a brick
something
wall.
that has to be inside.
Exactly. We could think of like building a reptile room as a glass enclosure, and in there we have smaller enclosures.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. That's actually a cool idea. But you can do that without, I mean, you could do that. Aircons out to acclimatize.
Yes.
But they dry
also,
up as well, so you have to
that's
have
what I'm saying, the sunlight.
and all like that. Yeah, but you can have an open roof.
Yeah, you could have an open roof too. There's many ways to do that.
There's many ways, yeah.
We just got to think of it and start working on ideas.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. What? But now we've rambled, dude.
No, but we got to keep rambling about bettering care and that, because I think it's important, especially like with species that enjoy the sun so much, and the diurnal species.
Monitors especially, I do not believe should be kept inside. I don't think that's a species that should be kept in a enclosure inside a house. I think they deserve
because they
outside
need that
aviary for them to run around and just that's how you appreciate them as well. So you know what actually got me onto this, that thinking about the outdoor enclosures and stuff like that. It was Tom Crutchfield.
Yeah.
Have you seen that guy's outside enclosures? Not just for his monitors, he's got a lot for his snakes as well.
Yeah, I've seen some of the stuff there.
I think he had a albino Eastern Diamondback or a Western or something in an outside mesh enclosure that he kind of rocked up at the back and everything. You should see that, dude. That looks absolutely insane. That actually looks better for me than having it in a fully enclosed vivarium whatever setup. That looked insane.
I think that's what we need to strive to do. Like, I don't know if you've seen Camp Cannon or Cannon Harkin.
Yeah, I've seen his setups. His
outdoor setups also like make you think, okay, there's more to keeping than just keeping these animals in a small enclosure. Like the amount of pleasure you'll get from watching your animal thrive in a naturalistic habitat where it has UVB, it has that airflow. That
but I think that you just touched on the word that's the difference. Do you want your animal to survive, or do you want your animal to thrive?
I think that's true.
And that's the thing. So constantly improving your habitats and stuff like that, constantly doing things like we're talking about now that we think about doing, and actually doing that's taking your snake from a surviving to a thriving.
Yes.
So yeah.
Like a ball python or any snake can survive in a rack for a long period of time and that. But no, they're not going to thrive.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get so much enjoyment out of it.
No,
either.
you don't, but how can you get enjoyment out of a ball python? I'm joking. For all the ball python fans out there, I'm really joking.
You have a ball python.
I
That's
have
what
3 ball
started
pythons.
for
My
you.
most favorite snake in my collection is a ball python.
So stop bashing ball pythons. No, you just love your arboreal vipers because they look like miniature dragons with their scales and everything.
That, and I love the challenge that comes with them.
So tell us a bit more about the challenges of keeping arboreals.
So obviously arboreals, if you've kept arboreals before.
Yes, I have.
So yeah, where have you?
I've kept some briefly, and I've worked with people who have.
But you've worked with people that have kept some ridiculously insane stuff. Okay, so you know how difficult they are, and when you finally get that right, when you get those keeping standards right, the heat, the airflow, the humidity, and you see that snake thriving. That's a rewarding feeling, and that's why I love arboreal vipers. If you get an arboreal viper baby, it's not eating, and you get it to eat without having to force it down its gullet, that's the nice feeling about having arboreals. I mean, I've got a Vogels with me that I didn't breed them. My buddy bred them, Yuan. And what happened to the one again? Oh, as they came out, the one got bit in the eye. His whole head, dude, swelled like double the size it was. It didn't eat. It didn't do nothing. So I actually had to assist feed it. I never had to force feed it. Only assist feed it. And a month back, it took its first whole pinky without me having to do anything else than tease it. So it's on tease feeding. Do you know how insane that is for me?
You can almost like fill up with tears because it's such an emotional thing for these animals. You're like, oh, finally.
It's finally. That's exactly how I felt. And I've had some bad experiences, man. I've had some people come to me with arboreals, like albulabras, especially white-lipped vipers. Jeez, I hate it when someone calls me about a white-lipped viper because I can almost guarantee they're going to give you the story that, no, it was a feeder. It came from a reputable breeder. No, it's not eating. No, I don't know what's wrong. No, I haven't checked chimps. And no, I don't know what the humidity is.
Oh my gosh.
That's what they say every single time. It's like a routine thing, man.
Do you think it's because they're the cheapest venomous snake to buy, so people think, it's an easy thing to keep, let me just get that, and
it
jump
might
into
be it might be a sales thing, but then if you think about it, they're not the cheapest. I mean, a self-feeding white lip goes for about 400.
Yeah, but
I know some people that sell for 600, and I think that's fair because they keep them for a year.
Yes,
and then they only start selling. And then you look at stuff like Atrox, Western Diamondbacks, and Contortrix, and what's that other species? Oh, let's just look at them for now. But then, and Doresis.
Yes.
So if you look at them, I mean, you can get Atrox for what, $150?
Yeah.
Come on, I mean, a Western Diamondback for $150. So no,
That's basically $11. It's crazy.
That's ridiculously cheap, dude. That's really cheap.
Stupid
for
actually.
Something that can mess you up that bad. That is ridiculous. So I don't think it's because the white lips are cheap that so many people want them. I think because it's a double whammy. Everyone tells you they're the best start to venomous snakes, which I 100% disagree with to the utmost extent. I will argue it always. And then they obviously are beautiful. They are beautiful.
They are.
A lot of people that are in the hobby for a while start to lose appreciation in them because they start seeing other stuff. But I mean, white lips are beautiful. It was the first venomous snake I owned.
Yes.
You know why it was my first one?
Why?
Because everyone said it's a good starter.
Exactly. And they are not, especially with feeding. People think they are just this easiest thing. And whoa, what the heck happened there?
I think we just had a power failure.
Oh, dang. Okay, guys. We'll be back with you shortly. Okay, so we're back now.
We're back.
We're back with a bang. It shows you we live in Africa. The joys of load shedding.
It's the proof we don't have power.
Exactly. So we plugged in the backup generator that's there for the snakes.
At least I remember to feed my lion. You know, I don't want to.
What?
No, I'm joking. Because everyone always think that people in South Africa ride lions everywhere. We ride lions and elephants. So that's why I'm joking and saying at least I remember to feed my lion.
Yeah, otherwise it'll run out of batteries.
Yeah, it'll run out of batteries.
Have no power.
But yeah, where were we, man?
I have no idea, but let's go into overfeeding and how bad it is for animals.
Dude, it's the worst. You shorten animals' lifespan by 6 months. Oh, not by 6 months.
6 months.
No, I mean, what I was going to say is I was thinking about the example that I'm going to use now.
Okay.
that has a 6 in. That's why. No, you literally half that life. I know with crocodilians especially, you overfeed them, they get fatty liver disease, and they get up to a good age of 6 and then they die. No one knows why they died, but they just died. Oh, my habitat was perfect. Yeah, it might have been, but you were feeding that thing like it was 12 crocodiles. And that's the thing. And with the arboreal vipers especially, overfeeding is prone to a lot of issues. First of all, they don't breed good. They don't live long. The babies that they get aren't strong. There's a lot of they themselves aren't strong. So yeah, overfeeding is probably the worst thing that you can do. Yeah, without a doubt, it's the worst thing you can do.
Yeah, and power feeding to get animals up to a certain size for breeding quickly.
Power feeding for me is the same as overfeeding. There's no real difference.
Exactly, it is essentially overfeeding the animal.
It's not necessary. I mean, why do you want to have your snake being able to breed in 2 years?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, you got to learn a thing of patience also, because they will reproduce so much healthier animals and babies.
Even if your yields will be greater.
Exactly.
I mean, you'll have more babies. And again, they're pushing for size, but I think you actually proved this in one of your videos, but size isn't the main denominator for large clutches or for healthy clutches. Age is the factor. That's the thing. So everyone is overfeeding their animals, getting them to a good size, to a big size fast, for the sake of getting them able to be breeding. But size doesn't determine how good they breed.
Exactly.
Maturity, and obviously without the environment, if we don't look at environmental conditions and how you're keeping, etc., if we just look at feeding versus age for breeding, age is the most important factor.
Yeah, like with the ball pythons, guys can get them up to breeding size within like 2 years and that, but the amount of babies they have, they may have a lot, but the health-wise, it's not that good.
That's not good at all. I mean, why do you in any case want to have a snake that won't live up to its full longevity?
Yeah.
I mean, why have a king cobra and overfeed it, then it only gets to a good age of 5? I mean, yes, I had a king cobra, it got to 5. That's not an achievement. That's a bad thing.
Yeah, because I feel in captivity, we don't even know the lifespan of most of these animals, because...
I agree. Most of us don't even see... I think there's a lot of snakes that should stay with you about 20, 30 years.
Yes.
But they don't. They die at like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Because of improper care.
Exactly. And I think it may even push past that 30-something years.
Oh, for sure.
Especially your crocodilians and that.
They're supposed to outlive us.
Way.
By far. Yeah. I mean, our grandchildren should be able to play with our tiny... Tinkerbell my grandchild should be able to play with Tinkerbell.
Exactly.
Then I fed her right.
Yes.
And I've kept her right, and etc. But yeah, overfeeding is a super bad thing. And a lot of the issues you don't see on the outside. So, for example, let's touch on ball pythons, right?
Yeah.
You don't so much see fat on them. You don't really see fat on them, literally. But if you overfeed and you do an autopsy on one of them, for example, the fat around their organs, that's where the scare comes in.
Yes.
It's internally of a lot of species. Like with your vipers as well. But vipers visually show fat. But internally, it's super bad. Most crocodilians as well. If they get fatty liver disease due to overfeeding, it's gone, dude.
It's a very sad thing, because yes, it's fun to watch the animals eat, but it's not as fun as keeping them for a longer period of time, and that's what we need to realize. You're not doing your animal any favors by feeding it more. Oh, it looks hungry. Yes, it looks hungry. It's a reptile. It's an opportunistic feeder, so it's
going to feed every chance it gets. That's
exactly
how they work.
It'll constantly eat till it can literally pop. So
you know what? But I understand that factor that you're saying now about it's hungry, because I've got a snake with me. And my smallest legilly, and I promise you, when I see that snake, I just think, it looks like it's always begging for food, and I just think, see, I want to give you something, but then I realize, you know what, it's not going to be worth it. It's going to get fat and you're going to die. Yeah. So I'm not going to feed you. But I literally argue with the snake. I would look at its cage and I'd be like, no, you're not going to get food. Then a snake would just slither and slither. I'm like, no, you're not going to get food. Come up to the glass with his nose. I'm like, you're not going to get food. And then I just leave.
You're kind of talking to yourself to like convince
myself.
I'm not feeding the snake.
And I think that's also a big thing. I don't think everyone is overfeeding for the sake of breeding. I think a lot of people overfeed without them realizing.
Yes.
Sorry. For example, with corn snakes especially, your corn snake should never really get to a larger than a small rat prey item.
Yeah.
And I've seen people feed them medium rats.
I've seen that too.
And I've seen them feed them medium rats, and that corn eats the medium rat, and it doesn't look like it's uncomfortable when swallowed. So you think to yourself, maybe these guys are thinking, no, this is a proper sized meal, but meantime that snake's really gotten so fat that is now a decent sized meal because of how bloody big he is.
Yes, that's very true. They can take that size meal, but you don't feed them that every feeding because
it's not necessary.
No, like most people don't realize how long snakes can actually go without food.
Yeah, I mean, ball pythons have proven this on multiple accounts in captivity.
Yes.
I mean, my baby boy Centurion, which is why I love this snake so much. I mean, he's 16 years old now. So I've had him for 6 years. His previous owner gave him to me after 10 years. And he, at one stage, went off feeding for 9 months, man. I mean, 9 months, that's enough to make a normal person shit himself.
Yes.
So I was just calm, relaxed, and then every now and then I just changed my underwear. So I was shitting myself, man. I was scared the snake was going to die. And every single time I thought the snake was in a bad state, I would weigh it. And then I would see how much weight he's losing. I think in those 9 months, he lost 200 to 300 grams.
That's nothing.
Dude, that's nothing for a 9-month feeding strike. And now I've got his feeding pattern down to the T. 6 months he'll eat good, then 2 months you can guarantee he's not going to eat good. Then for 6 months he's going to eat good again.
Yeah, I've had the same thing with that female ball python up there. I got her and I think she actually hadn't eaten for over a year. Nothing.
A year? Yo, at least you're wearing brown pants most of the time.
Eating nothing at all. That was with the previous owner. I got her. Just changing and tweaking some things with the setup, she got to feeding straight away. But this one up here also, 9 months, just like yours, no feeding. And what I've found that a tip to get them eating, feed them less. So don't ever stick to a feeding schedule. I hate feeding schedules because they are intelligent animals and they learn, okay, I'm getting food here. So then sometimes they'll just skip it and they'll skip for a few months because they know they're going to go with food. If you split it up,
yeah, it has to be ever changing.
They question it and they're like, I'll take this now because I don't know when next I'm getting.
It's a good point you've got there because I've been noticing that I've got like this green bucket that I de-thaw all my rodents in. And even if I just walk into my room with that green bucket, so let's say, for example, I've forgotten in the kitchen, and then I take my bucket back to my snake room. If I walk into it, my cobras, they wake up fast. Even some of my pythons, they immediately wake up. My Arboreals, I don't know if they actually sense it because they just sit dead ass still most of the time. But
yes,
they just, I can reckon they sense it as well. And then they eat better when they see it as well. So I'm thinking, no, they don't eat better because I think they got relaxed. So I'm thinking maybe that's a good thing to change up as well, get a different bucket.
Yeah, that's really interesting. It shows how intelligent these animals are. Right?
Tinkerbell.
Yeah? Well, that thing's like
Tinkerbell.
Out of this world with intelligence.
If she hears the bucket, she already knows what's going on, right? So she has this tendency to hide under a filter. If she sees me approach with that bucket, she immediately takes her head out from under the filter to see what's going on. She knows it's not yet food. The bucket's there's not yet food. Then I de-thaw it. The second she sees me walking with my tongs and the bucket towards her, she immediately comes to the middle. Then I have to force her to a side. So I go to the other side, then I feed her from that side. So she doesn't get comfortable, or I don't actually want her to associate the middle section where I want to feed her. I've got a special corner where I want to feed her from.
Yes.
So that's what I'm trying to get right. So they are super intelligent. Yeah, man. I've babbled now. I've actually completely forgot what I was going to say.
That's cool. So what would you say is the right amount to feed an animal?
That's species dependent, man.
Yeah.
That's species dependent. For example, Arboreal vipers, I think for the first 2-3 months that you have them, while you still have them on pinky part feeding and things like that, you should do weekly feedings. because obviously they're not getting as much nutrient of a pinky head or a pinky tail or a rat tail as they would from a whole meal.
Yeah.
So weekly feedings for arboreal vipers, for example, until you get them onto whole meals. Once you get them onto whole prey items like a whole pinky, slide down every third week, maybe every fourth week, depending. For adults, I'd say once a month, probably good enough.
Wow. Yeah. That's another thing, like Atherus, those get overfed.
Too much.
Yeah.
They get fat fast.
They do.
They get fat fast.
Especially feeding them rodents, because they don't eat that in the wild.
My adult Squamiriga, he's still on fuzzies. He's an adult, but he gets one fuzzy every third to fourth week. And you've seen my Squammy. He's in perfect condition.
Yes.
He's now with a buddy of mine. We're going to see if we can breed him. So I'm very excited about that.
Oh, that's going to be nice.
Yeah, I want to keep all the babies. I already told him, you know what? He can decide what he wants to do with his babies, but my babies I'm going to keep.
What about me? Come on. Help a brother out.
Let's see. Because I already promised him one as well. So I was like,
no,
okay.
Don't stress. I'm just teasing you.
We'll see. No, but listen, man. Of course, if there's like, let's say 3, I'll give you one.
Yeah, that's cool.
I don't have to have the odd one. I'll give you the prettiest one as well.
You'll give me the prettiest one?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. So you won't even keep the prettiest one?
No, it doesn't matter. It's going. I just want them because the value has dropped for them.
Yeah.
So there's no sense in breeding for money. There's no sense in breeding for money. So I like to just breed, and then I'll have a good bloodline with them, and then I'll see if I can negotiate with someone else and then add some bloodline as well. Because I don't wonder how many people actually look at the inbreeding of reptiles.
Yes, that's another
and how
thing.
that could weaken the gene pool. So that's what I'm starting to think about now. Because obviously, since I've been working with a lot more lions and tigers and things like that now as well, and they are super, super sensitive to inbreeding. All the guys that keep predators like not crocodiles, but like tigers and lions, they take DNA of every single animal they have to make sure that they don't interbreed if they breed.
Wow. That's insane.
And
yeah,
you're going with your brother, you're going with your mother. It doesn't matter for us because we're not seeing any effects. But prolonged, how weak's that gene pool going to get third, fourth generation?
That's exactly what I'm working towards also. All my pairs of animals are unrelated. Currently,
I can't say that, but it would be ideal.
Currently, I'm not 100% sure about the 2 Nogenivia, but I'm working on finding out if they are a related pair. Otherwise, with the rest, I know they are unrelated. And I've got some related animals, but they're not going together. There's no point in it. Like,
for example, my Goomprechts are related. But I don't even know if I want to breed them. Yeah, but I'll probably just breed them to sustain the female. But the Albolabras aren't related. My Cornutus is a loner. I don't know if I want to breed them because the males get chowed very easily. Oh,
and you got a male.
I've got a male.
And that's why males are actually so rare.
I don't know if I want to lose my male. I'm scared of that. Dude, I'm literally scared of that. I don't want to lose my male.
Yeah, maybe wait till he's bigger than
I'll
a female.
Just rather not breed him then. It doesn't matter if I don't find a female that doesn't. I don't know. I don't know what I'll do if you get eaten. I don't know. Yeah. I won't be happy with that.
But that's the thing. Like with your Goomprechts, you've got a pair. Yes, they're a related pair, but you can grow that up, and when they're ready to breed, I'm sure you can swap out with someone else's. Yeah, but
now I'm swapping out an adult female that I've grown and loved for. I've told you this before. If I get a snake, I got it because I really wanted it. Then it's not going anywhere. Yeah.
Well, then you can swap it out now while it's still small.
No, it's too late. I already bought it.
Okay.
Like I said, if it's there, it's because I wanted it there. So it's not going to go.
Unless you get another male of a different gene pool or whatever, and then
that'd be fine. Then I'll just keep then I'll just have 2 males, but I won't sell my other male to buy another male. Yeah. Or I won't trade my male for another. I just want
another unrelated pair you could get.
Yeah, I'll rather just get I'll rather get 2 of the same from another pair, and then I can have 2 pairs of unrelated. Get what I'm saying? Yeah, 100%. So then there's no issues. But yeah, but it's still I'm still speculating on it though, because I don't know if there's any. Maybe there is. Is there any proof that inbreeding affects them?
I think there has been some stuff with like crocodilians that it's okay and somewhat good sometimes to inbreed crocodilians, but it goes to a certain extent. You can't like do it forever, and things got to cross over. I'm not 100% sure on that study. I will have to look it up again. But
yeah, well, that's
I don't think
worth looking up.
I don't think it's that good to inbreed anything. Honestly.
I don't think so either, but that's how most of the morphs are, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. That's
so that's another thing. Like, is it actually bad?
yeah, but are morphs good? There are many things.
Oh, well, there's a lot of ways to look at it.
Yeah, like personally, I've got nothing against morphs except when like it's
like if they affect the snake mentally, like jaguars, spiders.
totally and
Well, now I just need to. Okay, not jaguar the cat.
yeah.
Jaguar carpet pythons, because they have neurological deficits a lot of times.
Yes, like your spider ball python.
And spider ball pythons.
That's why I'm
yeah.
not going to breed her. As well as you get, I think, the 8-ball ball python. You get some like kinky snakes. They have like these kinks in their backs. No, I don't.
Yeah, it's just not worth it.
No, yeah.
I mean, to me, honestly, I don't add value to morphs. That's
Same.
why I like my venomous snakes.
Yeah.
Because there's not really any. Okay, lately there's been a lot of morphs coming up.
Yeah, like randomly. It's crazy.
Ridiculously.
For everything, even
I think it's because it got famous. I think because keeping venomous snake has now gotten to a
yeah, it's almost sensationalized.
yeah, it's but not just that. I mean, I think a lot of people think they can do it now. So there's a lot more people keeping. So a lot more of stuff's getting bred. That's what like
I saw a guy on YouTube keep
Yeah.
the snake, so that means I can. I saw him how to handle it. It's not
so due to
that
the
hard.
fact that there's more keepers now, there's more possibility of morphs arising. That's
Yeah.
what I think.
But there's also been quite a few wild caught morphs as of late. Like even the African species I saw recently, there's been that worm slung, there's been
The albino snouty.
yes,
There's been albino puffy as well.
been albino night adder, albino egg eater,
Leucistic herald.
scaleless puff adder.
That I saw. And there was a scaleless Tajara death adder born in EP.
Oh wow.
Eastern Province, something like that. I read. There was in
South Africa.
it was in Ultimate Exotics, one of their older books.
Oh wow.
I'll see if I can find the article, dude. There's a picture of it.
There's
It's ridiculous. You must see it, man.
It's crazy, but going back to it, I think there's just something so special about the wild ones.
I do like the wild types. I mean,
Yeah.
that if you look at arboreals especially, you don't need morphs with arboreals, man.
Yeah.
They're just so variable on their own. Like but the Podricius genus,
Yeah.
that's a variable genus, man. And Schlegelis especially.
Even
that's
Atheris.
the Atheris.
Squams.
I still stand to this. Variable bush vipers should be called variable bush vipers, and eyelash vipers should be called variable eyelash vipers. Because it's ridiculous the amount of colors they have.
Exactly. Well, that's why we can go back to scientific names. Just keep it at
Podricius schlegeli.
Yes.
Exactly.
Let's not talk about common names and that, because why can't we make the scientific name the common name?
Yeah,
I mean,
why can't that be the norm?
Yeah, why?
Yeah. Well, there's. That's a difficult thing to do, man. Because
Yeah,
a
but
lot of language barriers and things like that, cultural differences.
That's also where Latin, everybody can have it, and it doesn't have
Yeah,
the
but are
same
you
name.
gonna explain to a guy, Khoisan, that hasn't been in the city,
Yeah,
that a puff adder should be called? But what is a puff adder again?
Bittus irritans.
Irritans, yeah. So you're gonna tell him it should be Bittus irritans, where he's just like, no, it's a bite.
yeah. I think we mustn't, and we also don't want to change culture because
No, you don't. I
wanna
don't think it should be necessary to change culture. I don't
so
think
as
it should
keepers
be
we
necessary.
just keep to
I don't think common names are necessary to fade away. I think there's a place for them, with a lot of language barriers, and then obviously with cultural things. I think that the Latin names should just also be made important
yes,
to everyone. That's what I think.
because some things are known, like you have the eastern tiger snake in South Africa, and you have that same eastern tiger
Eastern
snake.
tiger snake in Australia.
Yeah, and that's like
It's a massive difference.
massive difference. The one's an arboreal African viper, or not viper, colubrid, and they're like not deadly, whereas
Whereas
ones
the
in
Australian
are
one,
pretty
whoa,
toxic.
pretty toxic. Yeah, I mean,
pretty toxic.
pretty toxic. It'll ruin your day, and your underwear,
and
your life
possibly your
insurance.
life,
and your wallet,
and possibly
your life.
your life.
It
Exactly.
might make your wife's life.
No,
It might make her a day.
No, let's not go off topic there. So large meals or small meals?
That's also again. No, actually not. I think it's again species dependent. Let's say, for example, if you feed your tick a stillborn cow, which I've seen people on Facebook do, pretty mad,
Yeah.
pretty insane. Then you don't feed for the next 6 months.
Yeah.
But
But
it's fine.
it just goes down to don't feed it again then.
Don't feed. Yeah, if you
Not
feed
like-
large meals, don't feed too often.
Exactly.
If you feed small meals, understand that you're feeding small meals, so maybe feed more often.
Yeah. Like with your trickier stuff with your arboreals, I like to stick
Keep
with
it smaller.
Yeah.
Golden.
Because it does stress them out swallowing something super huge.
Yeah, it does. It does 100%. And but like for example, if you go smaller, you can always offer more.
Yeah.
At
True.
For one session. For example, let's say my white lip female, she would easily pummel a small rat.
Yeah.
Easily do. But I'd rather give her 2 jumpers
Yes.
to make the size of an adult mouse, because I wouldn't feed her a small rat because that's way too big.
Yeah.
So a good size would be an adult mouse. But then I go with 2 jumpers because it's easier for her to bite onto,
Yeah.
and it's easier for her to bite and it'll be stuck.
Yeah.
Because
Makes sense.
with these arboreal vipers, the trick is that they bite and hold. And I've noticed with a lot of larger prey items as well, if it's too heavy for them, you know for a fact that snake can eat it. But the second it bites it and it heads tilts too much towards the ground, they immediately let it go
Yeah, because
because they're scared they're gonna fall off.
yeah, and I think it also might be a thing of like, okay, I'm vulnerable when I'm eating, so if I bite on it and my head gets tilted down, I can't see anything.
That's another thing as well.
I can't like let go of it if I see a predator coming, because snakes are very shy and vulnerable when they're feeding because they've got they can't.
They've got zero defense when they're feeding. But if you think about it, for example, arboreal vipers, where they come from, they eat geckos and lizards mostly.
Yes.
Now we're talking about stuff that, I mean, a rat can outweigh a gecko any day.
Yes.
So that's light prey.
True. And that's why feeding them less often is more important, because of how fatty rats can be.
Yes, 100%.
Especially for vipers, something that's eating a lean meal like a gecko.
Yeah, I agree 100% with you.
Yeah, so feeding many picky snakes is in your expertise, kind of, I would say.
I'd say I'm okay with it.
Yeah, so...
I wouldn't say I'm the best.
No, but you're pretty good at it.
I'm pretty good at it.
Honestly, like without having to force feed and that.
Yeah,
so
I've done force feed.
How do you do that?
With a lot, and a lot of patience. Oh, well, again, so all right, so how do I get a picky snake to eat?
Yes.
I literally tease it with pinky pots. So I would much rather have that snake.
This goes for arboreal vipers, obviously.
This goes for arboreal vipers, yeah. So let's
yeah.
Understand that I'm just talking about arboreal vipers now in specific.
Yeah.
I've had experience with a bunch of different ones. Like, for example, the Vogels I had, it took me a half an hour, and then they were already swallowing whole pinkies without me assist feeding or force feeding.
Wow.
It just took patience, the right bite, and then they started swallowing. But with my Schlegelis, for example, I've spent on one snake, I started at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. At about 11, 12 at night, I was done only. So that was for one snake. I was on one snake.
So then at what point does it become like too much that it becomes stressful?
For them?
Yeah.
No, well, if you tease them to after death, that's stressful. But what takes the time is to get them to bite is very easy. That's the easiest part. I mean, you just touch their body with your tongs and your prey item. Is to get them to bite and hold. And once they hold, that's where the waiting process comes in. You cannot move. I don't move. Once I get them to hold on, I don't move at all. If you move, they get frightened and they drop it.
Okay, that makes sense. So you're literally waiting there for hours, not
waiting for hours for them to realize they can swallow this thing without me being a threat to them.
Wow. Because they don't just start swallowing straight away like your cobras do.
No, not even. They take time, man.
Yes.
And for example, if you a lot of people, what they do is if they tease feed, it bites on, it holds on, and it drops, and they go again. And then it drops, and then they go again. And then it drops, and then they go again. And then it drops. And they do that for an hour long. They tease the crap out of that snake, and then that small meal you get him to finally eat is worth nothing due to the level of stress he's under.
Yeah.
So he's not getting all that nutrition. So usually about after the second drop, I call it.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay. So I accept that you don't want to eat.
But it takes so much time just because you don't want to stress it out when you're when it's holding on the prey item.
Yes.
You're
So that's what most of the people's mistakes are. Once they get the viper to hold on, they immediately want to move with excitement, or they're excited. They want to either grab a phone or finally move on to the next baby, whatever the case may be, and that's the reason why they drop. But a lot of times, but now when I say I tease them to like see the latch, I'm not talking about a bite, hold, and drop. I'm talking about twice where they bite and at least hold on for 5 minutes,
okay.
and then only drop. With me still standing dead still. Then I accept after twice, okay, today's not a good day anymore, then I'll wait a bit. I didn't mean bite and then immediately shake out and then, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah. So then how many times of like that immediate dropping do you try until it becomes too stressful?
I guess I've stopped. I don't know. I guess it just came with experience.
So you just kind of watch the individual animal and kind of see.
When they start running and stop biting, you're in any way in a bad position.
Okay.
So then it's in any way.
So you want to stop before that?
Ideally, it would be great, but it's not necessarily possible.
Yes.
Because you have to tease. You have to tease them. You have to get them to bite. So you actually have to annoy them to want to bite.
Yeah.
So that already in itself is stressful.
And that comes also down to the morphology of most of these Dromaeosaurus, and why they work with being teased is because geckos and that will go for their tails that are generally different colors, and they'll wiggle them and caudal lure
them.
Exactly. So teasing them isn't the same as like teasing a ball python. You can't do that.
Let me just like give a few tips that I've noticed work.
Yeah.
And then whoever wants to use this can use this as well. First of all, when you start tease feeding, put the snake in a position where it can't actually see you. So what I love doing is I use an ice cream tub. Then I make a hole on the side of the ice cream tub so I can tease feed from that side. Okay. This I've tested recently and it worked very good for me. And then you tease feed from the side, but I peep from the top. So it looks like I look like a peeping Tom. I just peep over the rim, and with my hand from the other side, I tease feed. The second he bites that pinky, my head's out of the way, my hand's out of the way. There's no heat signature there. So it's dead quiet in that enclosure. There's no movement. There's no funny stuff. And then usually they just start immediately eating.
Oh, wow. So you're making a heat barrier as well as a visual barrier.
I wouldn't say it's necessarily a heat barrier. I don't know how much of a heat barrier ice cream tubs can be, but it's definitely
it's something.
It's definitely something, and it's better that it's a brilliant visual barrier because they won't see you. Oh, ouch! Got some heartburn. So that has worked for me, and cutting pinkies up, that works golden. Keeping the prey items warm is another very important thing. A lot of people defrost a lot of stuff at once, and then they take the pinkies out as soon as they're thawed, and they leave them there, and they feed other stuff. Keep a lukewarm glass with you when you tease feed them, and dip that prey item in the glass every now and then while you're tease feeding, so that heat signature stays constant. You'll see they'll focus more on the pinky part touching them than on your hand moving in front of them, and then you'll actually keep their attention on the prey item.
That's a good little trick to know.
That worked lucky for me. I've had great success with it.
That's interesting, and that comes with experience, so thanks for that little...
Yeah, well, I've tried chicken hearts.
Yeah.
For all my Southeast Asian species. Woo!
Chicken hearts?
Chicken hearts are like a treat, man. Yes, I had no issues with chicken hearts.
I wonder what that is.
But my schlegelis and my Arboreal.
Yeah.
Nothing. Not even a response to it.
Interesting.
And my Arboreal is a pig.
Okay.
He will literally continue eating no matter what. If I stand there with, let's say, 20 fuzzies, he'll go for every single fuzzy. I can almost guarantee it.
Yes.
And he didn't even want to know about the chicken hearts.
Wow.
Ridiculous. It's weird. It's weird, I'm telling you. I've even tried with chicken necks. Now, this was funny one day. I was feeding Tinkerbell chicken necks, and my one white lip viper in the corner enclosure, she was looking at me like she was starving. And I was like, yeah, I wonder. So I thought, well, geez, I fed chicken hearts to corn snakes. I fed to cobras. They had no issues. let's try the white lip. And she actually ate a chicken heart, a chicken leg.
Wow. That's incredible.
Not the big piece.
Yes.
It wasn't one of, it also didn't have a lot of meat on. I don't know how nutritionally valuable it would have been for her, but
It was interesting to test out, obviously.
it was just interesting to test out. So I know chicken works with Trimerosaurus. I know it works because my Gumpies went ballistic, my Vogels went ballistic, my Labras went ballistic, and I've even spoken to a few other guys about it, and they also went ballistic. Now I know that a lot of people with Schlegelis, they take ox heart, and then they cut it into squares, about the same size as a pinky would be.
Okay.
And they get them on that faster than they do on pinkies.
This is so incredible. Like, what is it with a ox heart and chicken?
What's the difference?
Hearts? Like, what entices those different species? Obviously, there's something that it lets off.
I think it's that rich smell because it has a very rich smell.
Yeah, but why wouldn't you go for the chicken hearts then?
I don't know, man. I honestly don't know.
But
I know that's another way of getting your vipers onto feeding as well. Getting them on, because the chicken hearts and the ox hearts, they're softer when they bite. So when they bite it gets stuck in the teeth.
Okay.
So that's what you kind of want
And
with the
then
pinky as well. And then they kind of have to swallow.
Yeah.
So they get used to that quicker, and then you just have to convert them from ox hearts back to pinkies. But that's pretty easy because it's so rich in blood. You just dethaw it, and then you just leave the pinky in the blood, and then almost away.
So you kind of mask that the pinky is a bit of
Is
the
a
ox
pinky,
heart.
You can slowly start stopping it eventually, and then eventually it'll eat just mice.
That's good, because you obviously need to feed these animals whole prey items.
100%. Look, using ox hearts or chicken hearts as a means of starting, it should only be used as a means of starting, and shouldn't be used exclusively. So you have to just make sure that they eat, let's say for about a month and a half, and then you have to start getting them onto prey items more realistic for them.
Yes.
I mean, a chicken heart for a 10 centimeter viper, obviously that's not a realistic prey item.
Yes.
So then you have to start getting them onto more realistic prey items. Ox heart especially is not realistic for them.
It's not like it's going to cut up a piece of ox heart.
But there are risks with feeding, like, for example, ox hearts and stuff. It's high in, I think it's iodium or iodium. What's it called again?
I don't know.
But it's high in, or something, iodium. I think it's iodium.
Okay.
And that's also not a good thing.
Oh,
yeah.
Not a good thing. Okay.
I haven't tried fish, though.
I've heard for, like, your bitter species and your dwarf bitters, because those guys love lizards. You try... There's a certain fish that you feed them because others aren't so good. Fish seems to work lacquer because those guys are really difficult to get onto.
I've heard this for white lips as well, man. I've heard funny stuff to get white lips feeding. I've heard of people using tuna.
Because apparently the fish is closer to a lizard from what they say. I wonder if it's just the fat content or the scales.
I don't know. It could be just I don't know, man. But I've heard funny stuff with people that and I've heard funny recipes for people with white lips. Some people, look, if you've tried this out there, let Bryce know how it went for you, because I would love to actually know how people get this right and if it works. But they take a cricket, and then they dip it in tuna, and then they tease feed their viper to eat a cricket, a white lip. It could make sense for me, because if I'm thinking out in the wild, man, a baby white lip is super small.
Yeah.
So a cricket could be a possible prey item. I mean, Contortrix recently found out that they eat insects like crazy.
Yeah, I saw that.
And they go ballistic for insects.
Yeah.
So who's to say that
centipede.
Who's to say that white lips might be a bit more understudied than we think?
I think everything is, to be honest.
I agree.
Especially the babies, because of these species, they have such tiny offspring. Nobody's really going to find...
For example, our eastern tiger snakes here in South Africa.
Yeah.
How long do you stream them? It's like 3 centimeters?
They're tiny, probably 2 inches in length.
Well, that's a lot bigger than 3 centimeters.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I might be wrong. I am wrong. I've seen them coil around my friend's thumb. Like a little bit of its body. The whole body takes up a little bit of his thumb. So they are pretty...
That's small.
Pretty tiny. Like, and the thickness of, like, my my headphone cable, basically. They are
That's
not
small, man.
Yeah, they're tiny.
That's tiny.
So what do those eat in the wild? Like, do geckos and
Yeah, what do they eat? Earthworms.
they
I
eat
think
geckos
earthworms.
and stuff like that?
Jeez, what geckos would fit?
Hatchling geckos, because they hatch out at the same time as geckos would. But still, how could this tiny little snake catch a baby fast little gecko? It's incredible.
Yeah, that's insane. I'm
So-
actually having a hard time processing this. The fact that it could.
Yeah, so that's why I think there's actually, it's understudied and there are many things that it eats that we don't know of.
Have there been actually people that documented young eastern tigers eating in the wild?
I don't think.
You see, that's the thing that
Yeah.
I wonder about, because I reckon that most of the times when they find out diet, it's feces examinations, or they actually get DOAs or DORs, and then they do autopsy and see what they ate lost.
Yes. And that's generally with adults.
adults, yeah, because if you say it's as skinny as your mic's cable, I mean, you can't do an autopsy on that, man.
Like this is.
That's ridiculously small, man. Your
It's
scalpel
tiny.
will mess the whole thing up as you cut.
Yeah.
So that kind of makes you wonder if the younger snake's diet would be pretty different.
I think so. Like, because how difficult would it be to find one of those in the wild?
Dude,
Incredibly
it would be
difficult.
insane.
You're
Even
not
an
gonna,
adult to find is ridiculously difficult.
Yeah. So it's understudied, just like king cobras. I think when they're babies, they are more prone to eating geckos and smaller lizards than they are snakes.
No, but that's the truth.
Yeah.
That's factual. They only go for something that's way smaller than them.
True. So that
that's-
shows how much.
Do you
It's
know
unknown.
why I think king cobras aren't well studied?
Why?
Due to the difference in localities.
Yo.
I think they what?
I said yo because there are so many different
I was about to
localities.
say, I thought you being sarcastic. Like, what? Why? no,
No.
but I think that's the localities could be the same as with our forest cobras, that they are in the same greater species, but there should be subspecies. Size, locality, coloration.
Well, let me tell you, they're actually busy working up on splitting a bunch of them up right now. So
Bunch of Ophiuchus. You see, that's
Yes.
exactly what I think. I think they should do that, because I think that a lot of them deserve subspecies status.
yeah, I think they're actually going as far as reclassifying them as different species.
As
Not-
own species.
Yeah, so like
Maybe Ophiuchus will have its own genus like Naja has.
exactly that's.
That'd be pretty
I
interesting.
think it'll be similar to that, but obviously not as many animals. But I think it's still in the works currently. They're going to split them up. Maybe I got it wrong and it's subspecies. Someone can let me know, but I'm sure they are
I
busy
think it's
working
subspecies, the same as the forest cobras.
on. Forest cobras are full species, not subspecies.
Full species.
Yeah.
Then I think it's going to be full species then, the same as forest cobras. I
Okay.
really think it's going to be the same as with forest cobras.
Forest cobras were originally subspecies and stuff like that, but they've now full on species, not subspecies.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be the same with the Ophiuchus. I honestly
Possibly.
do.
I think that's
honestly
yeah.
do.
So, how does stress affect snakes?
With arboreals,
Any snake? Yeah, boreals.
well, let's keep with something that I actually understand very well.
okay.
With arboreal, stress is the number one killer, man. I've seen stuff that'll make, like, just for example, now my squammy. All right, so I went from Rustenburg with it, all the way to Kempton, and it got RI. Ridiculous, right? From stress.
And how long did that
And
take?
it's the dude, it was probably we stopped midway, and then we went further. So it was probably in all 6 hours.
And then just after that, the stress induced.
That night,
Wow.
I dropped him with my friend. He put him on in an enclosure that was already set to the same temps, which was 20. So I had mine on 20, and he had his on 20. That's about we cooled them at. And then the next morning, he messaged me. He's like, "Dude, your snake is a puff, light puff."
Yeah.
Easy. It's not a state of RI where there's mucus coming out of its mouth and it has to gape for breath.
Yeah.
it's
just that first.
you're
bit
aware of it.
Okay.
So you don't have to administer antibiotics. You just fix the environments or conditions. So it's an easy fix. It's still an easy fix.
Yeah.
It's
It
2
needs
days
no
later.
medication.
It's 2 days later and he's not even huffing anymore. So, but that's just an indication of how severe stress can be for a snake.
Especially with arboreal.
Especially with the boreals, man. I'm telling you. So I've spoken to a lot of guys. I've spoken to you about this as well. with arboreals, you cannot keep them in a display cage where there aren't visual barriers. When I say visual barriers, I mean barriers where they can physically hide themselves away completely.
Yeah.
I've spoken to guys from the States. I've spoken to guys from Europe. They all tell me the same thing. They have them in racks. All right, so that works, but why does it work in racks? Because they're hidden away from 5 sides.
Yes.
Bottom, side, front, back. Bottom, side, top, back. It's just the front that's open. So when they go all the way into the tub at the back, that's a massive visual barrier. They can't see you anymore.
Wow.
So that's why that's working. Now I've started fine tuning it, right? So with my younger arboreals, I give them ample hiding. They're on display with a lot of hiding, and I've got no issues.
That's awesome.
But for example, walking past the enclosure and bumping it, constantly walking past and bumping that enclosure. So that's a bad thing. So always put your, with arboreal vipers, your enclosures have to be in areas where they can't be touched a lot, can't be seen a lot, or not interacted a lot. We spoke about this as well, where you said the same thing to me. And the people I spoke to in the States as well, they all said the same thing to me. They don't mess with them. They don't. I've moved my mic.
No, that's fine. Just leave it like.
Am I good?
Yeah.
Okay. So don't mess with them. It's not. Yeah, you have to
just go a bit
that.
closer to the.
All right. Am I good now?
Yeah, there.
All right. So when you keep vipers, accept the fact that you don't have a snake that you can work with on a weekly.
Yeah, it's something to enjoy, not play with.
That's why it's called a display.
Yeah.
I don't want to say display animal because that kind of makes it sound like you just want them to put them on display. But they are display animals because they make good displays.
Yes.
But there's the word display.
It's basically like setting up a tropical fish tank. You're not going to take the fish out and play with them.
Exactly. It's the same with them, dude. And then, obviously people prying on the enclosures, like walking up, shoving their heads up into the enclosure. That's stressful for them.
Yeah.
They get stressed out. We have to take in consideration where these guys would range. I mean, they would only come down from the treetops at night when it's hunting.
Yeah.
The rest of the time they'd be above. They hardly would ever see any form of life. I mean, how often do you think they're in a tree? How often do you think they'd see something bigger than them?
Yeah, not too often.
Probably almost never.
Yeah.
To be sincere.
Unless it's a predator going for
them.
It's not
exactly. So those are things you have to consider as well when you keep arboreals.
Wow. So
but stress is, I would definitely, sorry. But I would definitely say stress is the number one killer of arboreals in this hobby. It's not poor keeping, it's stress.
So you wouldn't even say it's overfeeding too?
With killing snakes? No, man.
Arboreals.
A lot of arboreals don't even get to the age where you can overfeed them.
Oh, because of stress.
Because of stress. They get stressed out. People want to cuddling with them. They want to assist feed. And every Tom, Dick, and Harry wants to get a white lip so you can show his friends how you have to force feed a white lip to get him to eat. It's not necessary to force feed. You're putting way more stress on that animal. I've seen people rip white lips apart. I've seen people stab tweezers through eyelash vipers while trying to force feed it.
Yeah, that's not good for the snake.
Dude, stabbing a tweezer right through a snake, pushing the pinky out of its the side of its head. Come on, man. How is that a good option?
Just because you're a bit impatient and
not a bit impatient, you're a lot impatient. to go to that extent, that's very impatient, man.
True.
If you breed arboreals, you have to accept the fact that you're gonna have long days. Long days. Oh, and with the feeding thing, what's a good tip as well? Feed them at night.
Yeah.
It makes the world's difference.
That people don't think of.
It makes the world's difference, man. I mean, I feed them at night, between 11 and 12. No issues.
Yeah.
Even some of my picky feeders, I do have cases where I have adult vipers that are still picky feeders. And that's why I firmly believe now to never ever in my life buy an adult snake of any kind ever again. So I always stick to buying baby snakes because you understand that snake then. I mean, you're raising it. But yeah, when even comes to 11, 12 o'clock at night, they seem to eat better. I don't know if it might be the temperature change, a little cooler, ambience a little cooler. But it works for them.
Well, they're nocturnal animals, or as for most of them, they are. So that's when they'll go out to hunt.
Yeah, but it mostly be about dusk side. Not dusk, dawn.
Yeah, crepuscular. So active.
That's a big word.
Active during dawn and dusk.
Yeah. No, not dusk. No, they're nocturnal.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
A
nocturnal.
lot of them are.
Yeah.
And
they're
that's
nocturnal.
why in the daytime there are way more predators around, so they are not going to eat.
Exactly.
They are way more vulnerable. At nighttime, they've got the cover of the night as well as the cover of like everything else generally sleeps.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So thank you for this. Thank you for coming out.
No, it's no problem.
Really appreciate it. Where can people find you?
On Earth. No, well, I've got a few media platforms. I'm on Instagram, Ohane Exotics. We're opening up an Instagram page for Jabula's Pride as well. So you guys can check that out as well. I'm on YouTube as well, also under the Ohane Exotics description. And then TikTok, I'm on TikTok. I forgot about TikTok. We're opening up a Jabula's Pride TikTok as well, dude. It's gonna be awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna show you some of the footage we have for it. It's gonna be great. And then Jabula's Pride is on Facebook as well. Jabula's Pride Ultimate Predator Experience. I think that's what it's called. Or it's just Predator Experience.
Well, links will all be in the description below this video, as well as the show notes, which you can find at animalsathomenetwork.com. So, yeah. Thanks, guys, for listening. Thanks, Eckhard, for
thank you
coming
very
out.
much, everyone.
Bunch of awesome info.